Schools PLP is a relatively easy online platform to use for your online courses. When you go to our school district's website, all students have the same setup for username and password. Username is LHC followed by student ID number. Password is just the opposite, ID number followed by LHC. When a student logs in, most of the time they're taken directly to the Overview tab where they will see all of their separate courses and they can decide which one they want to work on, click directly on that, and get started for the day. You can click on the words "work on this course" and it'll take you directly to your first assignment. However, it's always best to instead click on the course name. If you click on the course name, you'll actually see the full list of assignments that you have, as well as pacing due dates to see if you're on schedule or if maybe you need to spend more time to catch up with your pacing. If a student logs in and they have messages waiting for them, they will not be able to access their Overview tab and get any assignments done. The messages are important because it's the only way the teachers in an online setting can communicate directly with their students. Sometimes you'll get announcements from the guidance counselors. Sometimes you'll have specific messages from a teacher about an assignment. Either way, you have to actually read your messages before you're allowed to go to the Overview tab and get any work done. So if you have a message, you have to not only click on it and read through the message, you either have to type a response back and hit send, or if you don't need to reply, you can hit acknowledge without replying. You have to at least hit acknowledge without replying, otherwise you won't have access to the Overview tab and you won't be able to get your assignments done. Once you've read your messages, acknowledged those messages, then you can decide what course you're going to work on and go ahead and get started. When you click inside a course, you have to work in order, and it's easiest to click at the green button at the top that indicates what you're supposed to start with. When you click on a task, sometimes it's just reading. It might be directions for an assignment or the objectives for the lesson. If it really is something that simple, it might just take a couple of seconds and then you go down and you hit mark this activity as complete. If you don't hit mark this activity as complete, you will not be able to move on. Sometimes the assignments don't actually have a mark as complete button, and that causes some problems with students from time to time, because the assignment can be something really short, a task that only involves reading one sentence, and there's no mark as complete button and you're stuck. You can't move on. If you try to move on, it tells you you can't because you didn't spend enough time on that previous assignment. If this is happening, it is because there's a 1-minute timer. So don't be alarmed if you feel stuck and you can't move on. Even if it's something super short, like this example here. If there is not a mark as complete button, that means you have to spend 1 minute on that screen before you'll be allowed to move on. And it can be frustrating from time to time if it is a really short 1-sentence item that you have to read, but you'll need to spend the full 60 seconds on that screen before being able to move on to the next item on your list. The majority of the time, when you click on a lesson, it starts automatically. All you have to do is click on it, the information that you need to read pops up, and you work your way down the page, and eventually you'll have some questions. That's a pretty standard assignment in schools PLP. If you click on an assignment and it doesn't automatically just open up to the material, that's because there's a start button. So if you notice that the assignment doesn't start automatically, once you read through the directions, scroll down, and in the bottom left corner, there'll be a start button. Once you hit start, it will take you to your assignment. The bottom left corner often has a lot of important information, not just the mark is complete button or the start button, but it also is the place to look to see if you have a time limit. The general lessons typically do not have time limits, but most quizzes, tests, and exams do have set time limits, meaning before you hit that start button, you need to plan enough time to finish the assignment entirely. There's also an indication of how many attempts you're allowed. For all high school level courses, you only get one attempt on any lesson, quiz, test, or exam. So it's definitely important that you try your hardest on your first attempt. Once you hit the start button, you will see a timer in the bottom right corner showing how much time you have left to finish that assignment. Although most assignments in schools PLP are done entirely on the computer and are a mix of multiple choice, matching, true and false, fill in the blank, short answer questions that you can do directly in the school's PLP program, some of your assignments will require you to create work on paper by hand and take a picture of it to send to your teacher, or you create a document digitally, like a Google slide presentation or a Google Word doc, and then you attach it for your teacher to grade. If you have an assignment that requires you work outside of school's PLP, you will have a submission box to turn it in. Whenever possible, you can use copy and paste to copy the information or type directly into the box. You can also use the features on the toolbar to link a Google Doc. If you're going to link a Google Doc for your teacher, you have to make sure you've given your teacher permission to access and view that Google document. You can also copy and paste images directly into the box or use the insert image to find the image on your computer and attach it that way. The blue plus sign at the bottom right corner allows you to upload a file that's located somewhere on your computer. And you will use that feature quite often if you have to create any sort of report or slideshow. You would just hit the plus sign, find the document on your computer, and then submit it to your teacher. A quick warning about uploading images or photos from an iPhone or iPad. Quite often the default setting on iPhones are the HEIC format. If you're uploading a picture for your teacher, there's a really good chance they won't be able to open it if it's an HEIC format. However, you can go into your iPhone and under the settings, you can change the format to most compatible, and that would be JPEG. Once you do that, then your teacher will be able to open any image or picture you send them from an iPhone. At all grade levels, schools PLP is set up to automatically assign 0 grades to any assignment that is past due. The pacing dates that you see on your overview tab are especially important because they help you make sure that you're going to stay on pace and finish all of your assignments before the end of the grading quarter. PLP will automatically plug in a 0 on anything that is 1 day late. However, you are still allowed to go back and do that assignment for full credit. So if an assignment shows up as a 0 because it's late, that doesn't mean you can't go in and do it. You can simply just locate anything that's a 0, click directly on it, and go in and take care of that assignment, even though it is late. Everything is available for full credit, even if it is past due. If you ever have a question for your teacher while working off campus, the best tool that you can use to reach them is the message feature in School's PLP. So from your overview tab, you can go up to send message, and you need to pick a specific teacher from that list. It's very important that you pick the actual teacher assigned to the course that you have a question about. Please don't message your math teacher when your question is about your English class, or your guidance counselor when your question is about your math class. Make sure you're sending the correct message to the correct person. And because you might have the same teacher for multiple courses, it's extremely important that in the message box, you type the specific name of the course you're working on and the name of the assignment that you have the question about. That way they can help you more quickly. Even though online school is a different format than the traditional in-person school, attendance still matters. Whether you're using School's PLP in summer school or during the regular school year, it's extremely important that you stay on top of your pacing due dates and that you're active in each one of your online courses every single school day if possible. However, during a typical school year, if you have 5 courses in progress, you may break them up and work on your English class on Mondays and your math class on Tuesdays and so on. However, you have to work in every single one of your online courses at least once every single week. Otherwise, you run the risk of being dropped for non-attendance. Students that go 10 days without activity in a course can be dropped from that class. Online school is supposed to take the same amount of time as in-person school. So if you typically spend 5 to 7 hours at school each day, then you should plan to spend the same amount of time at home on your online work. Academic dishonesty is always a concern in an online setting because students are working independently from home. It may seem easier to plagiarize, to simply find something online, copy and paste it into your assignment, and turn it in. However, our school district uses a program called plagiarismcheck.org, and with one click of a button, your school's PLP teacher can see if your work has been copy and pasted from an internet site. So we do want to give you the warning that we're checking for plagiarism, even when it's a short fill in the blank, maybe one sentence answer. If you copy and paste it directly from the internet without paraphrasing it, rewording it into your own words, the teachers can mark that as 0 and submit you for academic dishonesty. So follow the rules for scholastic behavior and make sure you're not plagiarizing. All of our Academy students will have a course titled Welcome to the LHUSD Online Academy. Inside that course, you will be able to find this video as well as a PDF file that has a little bit more detail and information on what was covered in this video. You'll have access to this at any point throughout the grading period. So if you ever need to refer back to the handout or the video, you will have access to it, and you're welcome to the LHUSD Online Academy course.